What if chronic fatigue, bloating, brain fog were linked to an unseen parasite in your body? We're going to be discussing that and a lot more right after this. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast online radio and TV network. I'm your host, Scott Paton, and joining us as usual is health coach Martin Pytela. Hey, how are you doing today, Martin?
Well, if I were to say the truth, it's pretty tense. I've had business challenges that I did not want to have.
And not of your own making.
And no, we're being attacked by parasites. It's a perfect situation where these bastards out there are testing whether my defenses are strong enough. They're actually trying to hijack my credit card processing system, and we're having to throw everything we can at it to block them. It turns out that the ultimate defense is to roll up and shut it down. Just close it until they go away.
Wow.
But anyway, I think of them as parasites because these are humans that are exploiting weaknesses of the strong and sucking off. They're like mosquitoes. They're like sucking energy and life out of us. Well, in my case, it's money that they want.
Right. Wow. All right. So
anyway,
there's been
comments from George.
Moving on.
I love the man.
Moving on from the viral parasites to the physical parasites.
Yeah.
I guess, parasites has a bad connotation, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
we have symbiosis or symbiotic things where they help each other, but this is where one creature of some sort takes and takes and takes and never gives back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
like government.
Like government. I don't think we're going to be talking about health today, folks.
Well, the situation is this. The definition of parasite is something that's living off of someone else.
Right. So the 40-year-old kid still in the basement eating you out of house and home would be a parasite.
Yes, sir. And also the bureaucrat that collects money and lives off of taxes of produce.
Here. We hit a nerve.
We hit something. This is my lunch. And it actually is coming from this. This is a 40-ounce lunch that Martin drinks most every day.
Wow. So Martin, tell us what's in the lunch.
So this is an Exula superfood lunch. I have 6 bottles of Exula products in my freezer. There's lecithin, Oramax, chlorella. What else is in there? Oh, hemp seed and gosh, I don't remember what all I put in this. Anyway, it's a combination of things. Lecithin is there because I want to emulsify the fats, because I also put a spoonful of coconut oil into this because I need some fatty acids to come with it. So there's a whole lot of green stuff in it because I'm the personality type that's a little too wired and needs calming down. And chlorella is quite helpful in that department. So I put chlorella and Oramax and I have zoetine in here as well. So combination of things, essentially nutrition that will sustain me. I had no breakfast. This is the lunch, and it will sustain me until
you eventually eat dinner.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
It has blueberry and apple in it for flavor. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, cool.
It's so good. Okay, let's talk about parasites.
Okay, well, before we do, I want to bring up one more thing about these greens, right? Like we've talked a lot about you need to have salads and something, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that I look at the Exla line is an insurance policy for when maybe I'm not getting, when maybe I'm eating too much sugar, or I'm eating sugar, or I'm not getting enough of the things that I really need for whatever reason, right? We all have busy lives. Sometimes, things happen and we just have to run out and buy something quick. Is that the way you look at it?
Yes. Yeah, it definitely compensates for our sins. That's how the Exola line was conceived. Is there's zero chance that buying groceries or eating in restaurants can feed you sufficiently to sustain health. That ship has sailed about 20 years ago.
Right.
So you need to find some way to compensate and make up the difference with highly concentrated food, polyphenols and pigments and
nutrient dense, in other words.
Yeah, the ingredients that should be in the food and aren't. So this is the compensation. This is the difference between survival and thriving.
Yeah, and a lot of people aren't really, they're barely surviving, I guess, if they're still breathing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we manage a group. We are administrators of a group we founded, I don't know, 15 years ago.
Yes.
Who are all suffering from fibromyalgia.
Yes.
And I suspect that if we sat down and with them and looked in their fridge and looked in their pantry, we would have a big clue as to why they're sick, because it's not tomorrow. If you eat badly today, it doesn't mean tomorrow you're going to be sick. But if you eat badly for 50 years, then the chances are you're going to be one of the people that has 4 medications a day and is in dire straits.
Yeah, I'm sure it's something like the 80-20 or 85-15, where one day a week you can be as silly as you want, but all the other 6 you have to actually build. Like, you have to build, not consume. Like,
right.
It's sort of like a bank account in a way. You're making withdrawals and deposits. This is a huge deposit.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about parasites. First thing is, what is a parasite? I think you said it very well. It's something that's pulling stuff out. So you could be eating really good stuff, but if you have a bunch of parasites in your digestive system, they're eating all the good stuff and you're getting the poop.
Okay, so like this. There's a zero chance you will not encounter parasites, even living in New York or wherever you think you are living. There are parasites everywhere. They're with the pets. They're with the children. You go into the park, you go barefoot, you're walking in the same place where some bird has pooped. You will encounter parasites all over, everywhere. They're in the food that you eat, especially raw food. If you eat salads and such, no amount of washing will take care of everything. There are parasites in meat. So if you're eating undercooked stuff like sushi or meat that's not fully cooked, you will encounter parasites. So the only I should say it this way: parasites are harvesting or targeting weak, not strong. It's very much like we talked about this not long ago, where I was mentioning that the lion on the savannah goes and starts the antelope herd running and goes after the slow one.
Yeah.
Well, that's in the maintenance of the herd, right? The lion is actually helping the herd to stay healthy. So with the parasites, if I encounter it, if I'm healthy, if my inner terrain is strong, the parasites don't like it. What they especially don't like is mineralization that's fully saturated. When you are fully loaded with trace minerals and electrolytes, it's too rich for them. The osmotic pressure is too high. I'll give you an analogy. I remember as children, we would find slugs and we would salt them in the garden. I know children are cruel. We don't know what we do. But when you salt a slug, the slug doesn't have a skin. He's actually slimy on the outside and he's permeable. So when you put salt on the slug, you're actually sucking water out of the slug. You're killing him in that process. Well, the parasites are a lot like that. They have no skin. They live within the body tissues, within the body fluids. And if your pH balance is right, and if your total dissolved solids is high, then you are going to be very unattractive for the invasion.
Very cool. So before I forget, because I did, we're going to be leaving here at the top of the hour. We're going on Telegram, because Telegram is where we can say what we really think. We don't get banned or censored like we do where you're probably watching us right now. So t.me/life and co. And we'll be there to tell you what we really think, and also to answer any questions you've got regarding your health.
We'll be naming names, and we'll be telling you who the parasites are.
That's right.
Mm.
Cool. All right. So how do parasites, well, I think you've covered how they, how they affect our health. What do we look for? Like, how can we tell if we've got a parasitic problem? I mean, we all have parasites all the time. The problem is whether you have a couple parasites or you have a couple billion parasites, right?
Right. So, well, the most obvious ones are the worms, right? Roundworms and whipworms and the liver flukes. Those are the most common problems. Well, let's just say that you may as well assume that you do have parasites. There's a 0 chance you have not encountered them. And if you're eating a diet that's less than strong, then you probably will have a problem. And I want to tell you, I was at a trade show back in, there was 2007, I think it was, in London, UK. 9 days we were promoting Exula in Europe. And I met a fellow, he was from Ukraine, from Kiev, doctor, and he had this early version of this computerized testing machine. And he was testing, and he told me about stuff, and it was really interesting. And then he said, and now let me tell you how many parasites you have. And so put me on the machine, ran the test, and said, there must be something wrong here. I don't know what's going on. And he rebooted the machine, tested me again, and said, I guess it's true. You are the first person that I have ever tested who has no parasites. Tell me why. And
wow,
I said, I have been on Strata Flora for the last 7 years.
And if you are interested in finding out more about Strata Flora, go to life-enthusiast.com/shop/Exula-strata-flora. And you can find it all.
Strata into the search box.
I'm going to put it in the comments so you can see it there.
Now, what's interesting about this drink, it has all of the Exula superfoods have at least 10% of Strata Flora in all of them. So whether you're buying Iridessa or Oramax or Orasil, any one of them has the Strata Flora in it. It's just that the Strata Flora by itself is just the digestive, eliminative, and parasitic support all in one.
So it supports your digestive system.
Oh, yeah. And elimination. And your liver and your pancreas. It's all in there.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you have a lot of parasites, it's going to help with that. If you're on a lot of medication and antibiotics that are killing all the good stuff in your digestive system, it will help replenish that.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, you need prebiotics, which is the food for the probiotics. So it's sort of like the probiotics would be the seed, the prebiotic would be the fertilizer, and your gut would be the soil within. And that's where you grow your garden, your inner garden. Now, go ahead.
Yeah.
If you
Go-
have a real problem, we have a product called Vermifuge. That's VERMIFUGE, as in vermin, run. And Vermifuge is conceived, it's a herbal product, herbal tincture, and you should be taking it on cycles. And here's the interesting thing. The parasites are most active at full moon and new moon. I don't know why that is, but they cycle with that. And the adults come out and lay their eggs, and it takes about 2 weeks for the eggs to hatch. And so new adults emerge. So the way we use this vermifuge is for 5 days centered around the full moon. So 2 days before, on the day, and 2 days after, you take a dropper full of vermifuge 3 times a day, and then you lay off. And then you wait for the new moon, and you do 5 days around that, 2 before, 1 upon, and 2 after. And you cycle that. And the reason you do that is this. You're killing off the adults when you're taking this. Some of the adults manage to lay eggs, so the eggs will hatch in about 2 weeks, and you need to try and kill that off. But some of them you might not catch, so the cycle. Anyway, so we do this for 3 full moon cycles, 6 doses. So you buy about 4 ounces of vermifuge and run through that. Takes you about 3 months, and you can consider yourself clean.
Very, very cool. So did we talk at all about the symptoms and signs of having parasites? I think the digestive issues, but what are some of the other clues that you may have a problem?
Okay, sleeping issues, waking up multiple times a night, grinding your teeth, headaches, itchiness, especially itchy anus. And then, of course, if you see them floating in your toilet, well, you know you got them.
Yeah, check your poo, everybody.
Yeah.
What about skin rashes?
Yeah.
Allergies?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Pretty much every annoying symptoms you can come up with, it's possibly parasite.
It sounds a lot like the things our fibromyalgia group members complain about. And then brain fog, right? Because your brain's not...
Yeah. Well, look at it. They're stealing your energy. They're stealing your food, right? So they're making you weaker, and they're making you more stupid. I keep talking while swallowing, and it just isn't a good policy.
And they're also defecating inside your body, which is toxic.
Yeah,
right?
They are very painful. It's toxic to you. Therefore, you're having bad reactions to it.
All right. So if someone doesn't do it, like for our pets, right? You go see the vet or whatever. He says it's time to be dewormed, and they put the dog on or the cat on some sort of parasitic thing. But we never talk about that for people, right? We never say, you know what, you should be doing this once a year, or every 3 months or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what can people do, Martin? I know we're getting close to the end, but if you're concerned about this, and you should be, then particularly if you've never done anything about parasites in the however many decades you've been alive, they're pretty rampant. So what can we do?
Well, didn't we just talk about it?
You talked about a couple products.
Yes.
So
wash hands. I don't know, Scott. There really isn't a whole lot that you can do other than push them out. Make the environment so hostile that they don't like it.
So it's okay to eat donuts.
Okay, now you want the full lecture again from the beginning?
No, what I'm saying is if you're drinking alcohol, if you're eating a lot of sugar, who do you think really likes that?
Yeah, exactly. Do you remember one time ago we wrote a big long article, How to Get Sick? We did 2 podcasts about it, right?
Yeah, how to get sick.
So it's exactly the opposite of what we're trying to tell you, right? Eat high glucose foods. So donuts, flour, refined sugar, refined seed oils, lots of milk. Eat pizza every day.
Right.
Yeah, like that. Sure.
That's going to really help.
Yeah.
And what about things like wormwood or black walnut,
Well,
garlic?
those are the ingredients in that vermifuge. Wormwood is phenomenal. Wormwood is a plant that the active ingredients called artemisinin, and there's a very famous pharmaceutical made as an analog to that, and that's called, what the heck is that horse paste called?
Oh, ivermectin.
That's the one, ivermectin. That's a pharmaceutical analog of wormwood.
Ah, okay.
Just like aspirin is the pharmaceutical analog of white willow bark, right? Just like benzodiazepines are analog of St. John's wort.
So what you're saying is there are herbal tinctures and extracts that we could use rather than using modern medicine, because one of the things we know about modern medicine is it may be really good at doing something, but it's going to give you some other problem that you're going to need another medicine to fix. And then now you go down the road, and this is why a large percentage of people have more than 3 different types of medication every day.
Yeah, I would say that the pharmaceuticals are made as analogs of living things, but they're made from not living things. They're made in a less expensive way, right? Like harvesting stuff from nature costs more money.
Right. So let me ask you this, Martin. Let's use vitamin C. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's pretend I have the perfect orange. It's got like whatever nature wanted for vitamin C and all the things that go around it. And then I go to the pharmacy and I pick up a bottle of vitamin C that's made from chemicals.
Yeah.
It might have the molecule that's vitamin C, but it's not going to have all the other things that are in my orange.
Precisely. Let me try and do an exercise. So, Scott, I will take apart the orange. It has in it fibers. It has in it vitamins, phenols, sugars, pigments, enzymes. So anyway, I'll get you all of that in little piles, hand it to you and say, Scott, make me a bowl of oranges.
Not being a chemist, that's impossible for me.
It's not possible for a chemist either. It's not possible for the pharmacist either. Not one of them has ever made an apple. Not one of them has ever made an orange. They are reductionists. They can take things apart, but they can never put them back together. Just like the Mickey Mouse in the Wizard's Apprentice.
Yeah, making a mess of everything.
Yep, like that.
So we just got a couple minutes left, Martin, and I had one other product from our store that I wanted you to talk about quickly, which was Zoyben.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, I would like to actually answer a question that somebody asked. You know, somebody asked if the benzos are related to valerian root, and I totally misspoke. Okay, it's the valerian root. The valerian is the right one. The St. John's wort is more related to what would be now SSRIs, the stuff that deals with depression.
Okay.
So my bad. You know, my brain is not perfect. I remember 20 things, but the 21st one just smokes out of my memory. Okay, so Zoyben is an awesome product. It's made from a whole bunch of essential oils, and the essential oils are, of course, extracted from plants. So these are now concentrates. So it's a different type of extraction, right? The herbal tincture is extracted with alcohol and one other thing, and
you don't have to get into production. You just have to tell us what it's good for.
Okay, well, it's the same idea. It's a antiparasitic. You know. So
do you get one bottle and you take a couple drops a day, or do you do it on the fortnight like you were talking about?
The instructions are try a little bit first, You can even mix it into some food like yogurt or something like that to test it. And then eventually you can hit yourself with a fairly sizable amount, like a teaspoon. It's intense because it's an essential oil, so it tastes quite strong.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to be heading over to Telegram
I have to go.
pretty much right now. So head over to t.me/life and co, LIFEENTCO. And you can ask us anything you want. You're going to get the true uncensored version. And next week, we're going to be talking about what happens when you stop eating sugar. So make sure you join us 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific on Thursdays. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us.